Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to another exciting episode of Psychology Talks because it is in collaboration with Save Lives Project, and because it is a month of May, and a month of May is all about mental health awareness. So we have gathered thought leaders and amazing people who actually advocate mental health and who are here to discuss this very important topic, that how we can be light for someone in the dark. And today with me, I'm so honored to have Preston, who will be helping me co-hosting this amazing panel. So thank you so much, Preston.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. It's so important that people are coming together and they're sharing their stories and they're sharing their wisdom and they're sharing their expertise. And so I'm just honored to be a part of it. And I'm honored to have all you amazing people here to be contributing that, right? And to be a part of the light, right? Like we've had that campaign and we've been creating the light, this month, and sometimes being the light for someone else can literally, save someone's life. So it's so great to be a part of this. So yeah, thank you. And thank you,
Yeah.
Ambreen, for putting all this together too, and doing everything that you do.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we have amazing ladies with us. I will actually like Courtney, Heather, Barbara, and Jennifer. So I will actually ask them to introduce this the by yourself. I mean, I can introduce you each one of you, but I think it's better to hear from you. So I think from yeah, like right next to me is Courtney. So I'll just ask Courtney to introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Well, first off, truly an honor to be here. I want to thank Ambreen and Preston for this opportunity. As you had mentioned, my name's Courtney Beck. I'm an adjunct professor at Florida State University. Really have a strong passion for teaching, particularly within the area of sport management. My background lies a lot within sport, particularly the sport of gymnastics. Also, too, I'm a founder of Plenty of Positivity, really focusing on bringing together people. So, dedicated to building a positive community for a better tomorrow, and a advocate for mental health. That really stems from my background in sport, being introduced to what mental health was throughout the years. And so, like I said, I'm truly honored to be here today, and thank you both. And it really is an honor to be alongside all of these panelists.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's really an honor to have you here. I think Heather. Uh,
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ambreen and Preston, for this really important conversation here today for Mental Health Awareness and Mental Health Month. It's an honor to be here to have this talk with all of you and these amazing panelists. My name is Heather McWilliam, and I'm the founder and CEO of Brave Inspires Brave. We are inspiring and building brave leaders of today and tomorrow with a strong focus on post-traumatic growth and new leadership opportunities for veterans, for military members and law enforcement and their families. From my own experiences in law enforcement to my personal journey transitioning out of law enforcement and the mental health journey that I experienced, I became an advocate in mental health and for human rights, and really wanted to make a difference in the world and give back again, to serve again and support others in their journey so that they can live their purpose and their passion once again. So thank you so much, and I look forward to this conversation.
yeah, thank you so much, Heather. You do amazing work. Barbara.
Hi, everyone. I'm also very honored to be on that panel. I am an educator. Right now, I'm a professor. I'm also author, therapy dog partner, podcaster. I keep adding all kinds of roles, but anything to do with education and promoting educational practices that we know about their benefits, but somehow they're not making a way to schools yet, because I think that the educational system still doesn't understand or doesn't want to or pretends doesn't understand the connection between mental health and education. The connection is very strong. If you understand it, you do it right. If you don't, or are avoiding the topic, then the education is just not going very well. And we have examples of it. So I'm doing everything I can to support new initiatives to improve education, because I care about children. I've been doing it for so many years. And now, thanks to Ambreen's initiative, Preston, I know Eldon is a part of that too. This is incredible, and I want to be a part of it. Who says that education and mental health are separate, right? That's not the right way of seeing things at all. So I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, you do great work for education,
Thank you.
definitely. Thank you so much. Jennifer.
Hi, everybody. I also am an educator, but not anymore. I'm working, I'm kind of on the same path as Heather in that I'm working on advocating, and especially advocating for children like Barbara is. And I have a lot of the catalysts behind what I do alongside Courtney is inspired by sport and by Sorry to Report sport abuse, and very keen on seeing that change. And I am using brain science as a way to get people to change their mindset. I find that the more we know about our brains and how they function and why they do what they do, the better able we are to step outside of the locked-in paradigm of bullying and abuse, and instead move into a much healthier, what I call a neuro paradigm. So a brain-informed paradigm for everything from leadership all the way on down to how we teach kids. So I'm an author, and my last book was The Bullied Brain. And my new book coming out is called The Gaslit Brain, and it's a preventative model. It's protect your brain from the lies of bullying, gaslighting, and institutional complicity. So yeah, thanks so much, Ambreen. I just love what you do, and it's great you've got Preston on side here, getting us all galvanized and talking. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all of you for being here and bringing all this like conversation out, and because people need to know about this mental health issues, and we need to talk more about it, so it doesn't become like more a kind of a stigma or something, a taboo that that doesn't need to be talked about. So this month we actually chose this theme, that be the light for someone in the dark. And I think it's very important that whatever the chaos in the world, we need to take kind of a accountability for ourselves, that we need to be proactive and be someone who can actually provide some calmness in the chaos of the others. But I want to hear more about it. What this phrase or sentence mean to you? Yeah, you can go ahead.
Absolutely. Just wanted to make sure. No, I think be the light, to me, what my perception is of that is truly being present for somebody, being there in those difficult times. And I think as far as humanity goes, the one thing that we do have in common across all different types of cultural borders, backgrounds, but that we experience challenges in life, sometimes difficult hardships. And so being there for one another, and I always like to say, if you can be there in person, most certainly be there in person, because there's nothing like being present in the moment, especially with today. Obviously, many things are virtual. So demonstrating that effort and putting that person first, like putting the focus on that individual who may be going through a difficult time, and demonstrating that just simply empathy, care for that person. So to answer your question, ultimately just being present, being that light for somebody.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I love that, because we're in such a fast-paced world, and that really stops us from being able to be present with other people. So what about anyone else? What does that mean to you to be the light for someone in the dark? Does anyone else want to share?
I would just
Okay. Yeah. Jennifer, go first, and then Barbara.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was going to talk about Barbara. So I just wanted to jump in really fast and build on what Courtney said in the sense, I love that idea of being physically present as much as we can. And the research on what's called co-regulation is really fascinating. We are mammals and we are able to calm down one another's systems by physically being present, by putting your hand on someone's shoulder, by holding their hand, by hugging them, by using your voice and your facial expression and the prosody of how you speak. You know how, so when we speak to a dog, and I defer to Barbara here, when we speak to a dog, we're like, who's the smartest baby? You know, same way we talk to children, you know, we feel that surge of light and love, and it changes how we behave. It's unbelievable in the science how much we can take down someone's overloaded stress system by being physically present, just as Courtney was saying. And of course, Barbara would know that another mammal, a dog, can bring you that same kind of calmness and stress reduction and shoot down your cortisol levels because we hunger for that type of need. And the virtual world, as Preston is saying, is really interfering with that. So we have to make a much bigger effort to be present.
Yeah, great answer. No, those are amazing. I love the dog reference. You know, I did a little silly thing when I had a dog. My dog passed away, but when I had a dog, you know, I would tease the kids and I would go, look, the dog is only watching your emotions, right? It doesn't actually understand what you say. And I'd go up and I'd go, oh, you're a dumb little dog, huh? And I'd be like, and the dog's like, you know, and then, you know, I'd say something like, you're so smart, you know, and the dog's like, what, you know, and it's like, if I change my tone, right, and I go, see, kids, I was like, it's how you show up, right? You know, the action doesn't, you know, your words, you can say the same words and you can completely change the meaning of the words by what you say. Like you could say, I love you, or you can say, I love you, you know, and it's like the same, you know, scenario. So yeah, that's great, you know, Jennifer. But Barbara, what are you going to say?
Well, I have to say a little bit about dogs, obviously. I hope you didn't hope I wouldn't, but I hope she's not going to start barking. She's already ready here to protect me. But I see how much this is, what it does for children in school every time. And that's why I'm still doing it. That's why it's the 7th year and I'm still going with my dog, even though I have full-time job. We're talking about full-time jobs and all that with Courtney today and other things on my plate. But when you see what it does for the child, I know that there's so many physiological things and changes in their body occurring, not just in their face. I don't even know, I'm not even conscious of all these changes. And I'm sure that Jennifer would know much more what's happening in their bodies. They almost like forget that they're in school, there will be a test, right? Or the teacher will be asked them awkward questions. You know, it's just, it really changes everything. But also, and there are also therapy rats if somebody doesn't like dogs. They are certified therapy rats. Isn't that cute?
I don't know. I'm kind of scared of rats, by the way. So,
but there are kids who might love them, and there are kids who might not, for all kinds of reasons, might not like dogs that much. So there are all different ways of providing responsibly, right? Therapy animals to interact with children and children interacting with them. But I think there's also, we were talking about the presence. I think presence is number one thing, and physical presence is so important. Anytime I can, I take my best friend to somewhere like a little coffee shop or something like that locally, and having a conversation in a space that's different than your house. It's like changes everything. It's nice, right? You smell coffee, there is baristas, you are in a different world, and then you have a conversation. I just love that. And I bring it all the way from Europe. That's what we were doing from the moment when I was doing primary school, high school. We were all going to those cafes when I was a high school student. And I just keep doing what I've already been doing. It really makes a big difference. But also, the other day, I just sent my best friend quick text message. I sent her a picture of roses And I just said, "This is for you. That's it." And
Yeah.
she responded. I didn't know what this was going to do for her. I just thought about her. And she responds to me, "You know what? It made my day. Thank you so much."
Yeah, that's so cool. So I love that idea. So I want to encourage anyone listening to this to take some action, right? Just think of someone that you can text right now. Just pull out your phone right now and just text some roses or some smiley face or some whatever you want to do to, or a little message or something. Hey, just thinking of you. Like go text someone so that, we can light up, someone else's day right now. So everyone, do that. That's listening right now, and then everyone here speaking, we'll do it right when we get off this call. But no, that's great. And what you said too, what was interesting, having a conversation at a different place from your house, and that kind of leads to kind of my next thing I wanted to ask is how early should we start having conversations about mental health? And there's a couple different ways we can answer that. And what's the right approach to people, especially people who are suffering silently. So who has a response for that?
I can share a little bit about that topic. I remember when I was a police officer, and we responded to many different calls, for mental health. Some that are, a suicide response, and where it's been too late, that we've gotten there too late. And sometimes we get the call where someone's noticed, a family member or a loved one notices that they need some support. And so I think the youngest age that I responded to someone experiencing suicidal thoughts or mental health challenges was, I think the boy was around 7 years old. And I got called into the classroom, into the school, after school, into his classroom, and had a conversation. Maybe the teacher had noticed or had heard something he was saying about how he was feeling. So that day I went there, and it really hit me so hard because I didn't realize what a young age he was, that he could be experiencing those kind of thoughts. And so, I really paid attention to, where they were coming from, why he was feeling that way. So, as young as 7, I think is what I had, experienced for age-wise. And, I followed up the next day with him and followed up with his parents and brought him, a police hat, and wanted to make sure he knew that I really understood and heard him and cared about him. And so at that point, that was, the last time I had that meaningful, moment with him. But I think, children experience so much these days in the home. Mm-hmm. And so I think, one of the other tools that I've used is, breathing techniques. Children may not be able to express what it is that they're feeling, but we can help them regulate those feelings by giving them the tools and resources that even all of us adults use, right? And allowing them to understand that they can be really in control of, how they're feeling, and also to be able to be free to express how they're feeling, and just spending that time listening to them and listening to how and why they're feeling that way. There's so much, like Jennifer talks about too, there's so much bullying going on, in school and different places. And so the earlier, the better, I think, that we can start having those conversations with kids so that we can prepare them to be, really resilient in life and understand that there's people there that can support them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so sad to actually hear that even 7-year-old can actually have these kind of suicidal thoughts. And it is getting weirder, I guess. I think every year, every day, the kids having so much pressure. So you're absolutely right that the sooner we start, it's better for us and for the society. Anyone else want to share some thoughts on it?
I have to say that I agree. Again, for how many years or decades in education, mental health has not been really in the picture at all, or even skills such as social and emotional skills. They should be taught at the youngest grade level, really. But when you think about it, there should not be any grade level that is like free from this inappropriate ways. It really, I mean, it can hit any child, and especially now, when I go to school, I teach at college, but now because of the therapy dog, we go to school and we see the levels of anxiety in children, in youngest children. And this anxiety shuts them down and just creates all kinds of issues. So, does anybody talk to them about how they can try to self-regulate a little bit? So recently, I interviewed for my podcast someone who is doing some work for children in terms of meditation and bringing meditation to school. And I was like thinking, what are you talking about? Meditation to school? What's that about? Well, it turns out it's about simple techniques such as breathing techniques that children can learn again. And we heard about it from Heather. It really does make sense that they can learn some little things to help themselves manage stress, manage anxiety. The youngest children experience these things right now. They are not free from them. And they're experiencing it at levels never seen before. So how long do we wait until something like that is introduced in the school in appropriate ways, I think?
Yeah, I know that. And especially these simple tools, right? That don't actually bring up any difficult conversations, right? Like these things can be taught without having to do anything that would be considered controversial. And what's beautiful is we're at a point right now of acknowledgement on a level that hasn't ever happened that you had mentioned, right? Where we go, okay, these things now, because science didn't connect like the pieces of the puzzle together. They just analyzed puzzle pieces. They go, oh, breathing. Well, if you breathe, yeah, it changes your heart rate. Yeah, well, it does this. Well, what does that mean on the human experience, right? Well, oh, it regulates your nervous system. Oh, what does that mean? Well, in a business environment, when you're stressed out because things aren't working, you can use that first tool to regulate the last situation, right? And they're not connecting the whole puzzle. But now people are starting to connect it. They're starting to acknowledge it. They're starting to go, oh, a kid who has tools to regulate their nervous system now can handle stress at school better.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they didn't connect the whole puzzle. They just had all these pieces, and we weren't thinking comprehensively. And now we're starting to, right? People are starting to go, oh yeah, that is like a whole picture, right? That we're fulfilling. Courtney, did you have something you want to say?
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of going off what Barbara was saying just about the topic of mental health and how the discussion has certainly evolved. I could at least recall early 2000s, as far as sport goes, being at an elite level. You really did not hear the topic of mental health at all, nor did you even think about it. I wasn't even introduced to it. And so, when we talk about like how early, how often, I also think about how often we even talk about physical health and how that's very openly discussed. So with mental health, we're seeing even like it's evolving and changing to become more of a topic of discussion, even particularly in sport. We see professionals, Simone Biles coming out. We see Naomi Osaka, Michael Phelps. I mean, the greats of their sports, right? But it really is, it's becoming, I think, just more common in interviews. It's not just about the performance with athletes. It's widely known to discuss mental health issues, and some are more open. But I think we're moving in the right direction. But I also think, of course, without a doubt, there's always room to improve. But particularly within sport, I think it could be certainly spoken about more. And when you talk about like how to approach in particular, I think it's a general approach. Like I said, just even being there for the person. You don't even have to, say the right thing. Did I say that right? Or sometimes it's just simply listening for a person.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, you said that. Heather mentioned that being heard, right? And I think that's one of the core, principles that I've incorporated myself, and especially people that are on the edge of that distress or like suicidal thoughts or thinking like that. Like one of the most simple ways that you can provide assistance to someone who's in that state is to make them feel heard, because a lot of times they don't feel heard, and by feeling heard, then you can take different actions from there, but also that they can feel that, and creating that feeling too, which is also the second part of what Heather had mentioned too earlier. But yeah, no, that's great, Courtney, and I love, because you're kind of like alluding into the other part too, that the second kind of angle of that question, because it's how early do we provide help, and it's like, okay, 7 is an age, but like also how early through our personal journey, like what about people today, like how early do I provide help for ourselves, right? Like
Yeah.
how long do we wait, like what's that point where we go, okay, here's an indicator that I need help, or maybe just because I live in this environment, I should try to generally support myself with help, because this is an idea that wasn't done in the past. But when you look at like the sporting realm, like you, Courtney, every successful athlete has a coach, right? There's no professional sport that exists without a coach. Yet we charge through life as business owners, as employees, as moms, as dads, as friends, without the coach, like a support team to accomplish those things, right? But we're expected to perform at these all-star levels, to make everything work, especially in the pressures of today, right? And so, like, but when is the starting point then? Of not even just the age-wise, but like us in our journey, or people in their journey, or people who are, thinking, questioning, themselves, or experiencing different symptoms that change their life. Like, if anyone wants to elaborate on that. I know it's kind of the same question, but yeah, it's yeah.
I was
Yeah,
just going to say super fast. One of the things that I think really helps people, and I use in my consulting work, is getting them to shift the idea from mental health to brain health. So I say to them, look, if you tore your ACL and you were in pain, you'd go right to an expert and get it addressed. You'd get it looked at. If you were struggling with a broken bone, you'd go and get an X-ray. Well, why don't we do the same thing with our brains? If our brains aren't functioning at top level and we're feeling really awful, so I think of the kind of work that Heather would have done with this accumulation of trauma to her brain. It's not like anyone needs to strike the body to cause massive trauma to, Preston, you're talking about the nervous system. That can all happen just from this normalized environment we're in that's extremely fast-paced, way too technological, full of doom, and it's all impacting our brains. Plus, we also live in a culture that has normalized a great deal of bullying and abuse behaviors. They're normalized, like, as if it's somehow your reaction is an issue with you. It's like, so when you start talking brain health, you really shift the conversation, because people stop ignoring their brain. If your brain feels anxious, well, get to the root of that. What's going on? And how do you address it? There's so many evidence-based ways to get our brains healthy and well, and they don't cost anything. I mean, we've already talked about meditation. Meditation is a game changer for the brain. Calming the nervous system down, aerobic exercise, connection with other human beings in real time. All of these things are like cures for the brain. But because we have this outdated notion that somehow mental health is a weakness, it's like, oh God, that's like saying, if you're breathing in toxic air and it's hurting your lungs, that's a weakness. It's like, nope, it's not. It's actually healthy.
Yeah, it's what a wonderful point you brought. Actually, by shifting this perspective from mental health to brain health, and actually, you're very right that this is actually affecting our brain, the way we actually process the data, our brain works. It involves the chemistry, right? It's all the neuroscience, And I'm like nowadays very much fascinated about the neurosciences, that how our brain actually interprets the entire data and everything, because it's at the end of the day it's all chemicals and something. But the best part is the neuroplasticity, that we can actually alter our brain. This is something that we need to tell, that brain health is not something that we need to take the medicine to cure ourselves or something. As I said, that it's like all the meditation, just shifting the perspective or shifting the perception, and we can actually change this. So yeah, anyone else would like to share any insights or have any thoughts on this?
I would just like to share, based on what you shared, Ambreen and Preston and Jennifer, you know, from the day we're born until all of our life, we're told we need to go to the doctor and have physical checkups. We need to keep checking our physical body all the time. Well, at the heart or at the foundation of how our body, our physical body, experiences life and everything that comes along with it is through our mind. And yet that is the one place that we're not having, you know, the perspective or the outreach to say, let's have mental check-ins with our doctors, you know, from the day that we're born, that we can, you know, start speaking or whatever that case may be. But until we get into the workplace, you know, whatever happens when we get into the workplace, for myself, like in law enforcement or military, we have, you know, physicals that we have to pass. However, we don't have mental criteria every year. Maybe some of us do, for depending on the job that we're doing, but we don't have mental check-ins to say, you know, what's gone on in the last year, how are you managing these areas of your life? Because all areas of our life can be impacted, you know, our mental health can be impacted by all areas of our life. So I really think that, you know, what you said, Preston, with regards to coaches and mentors, like there's so many mentors and coaches out there right now that have so much value to help people. And I just feel like there's so many people needing that. And then there's so many coaches that those mental check-ins could be so valuable to just like the whole person, the physical health of everyone. So, you know, let's start normalizing mental check-ins. We don't just have to be a friend or an advocate, but, you know, going through the healthcare system, maybe that's something that, you know, should be introduced to everyone and normalizing it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I really like it. And Preston said, I think you asked the question, like at what point do we like turn to a therapist, right?
Right.
And actually it really connects to what everybody was saying. The earlier the better, because you're not thinking about, I really have a serious issue, but you're thinking, I just want some coaching. And honestly, right? Depending on how we think about it. And I remember when my daughter was in therapy, and we have like a family therapy. And I remember when she said, well, I don't feel like really talking about this to the therapist. I don't want to talk to anybody about that. And I'm like, that's fine. You don't have to tell her something you don't feel like telling her. But just remember that she is your ally, right? She is helping you. She will never say anything to anyone. She's like the most confidential person ever you can talk to. And I'm like, you know, you like all these musicians. Guess what? Each of them has a therapist, coach, who knows what else. They all have these people in their lives who help them in navigating through lives. So why can't you have one of them? Just kind of trying to normalize it, because they don't really know, you know, and even among teenagers, you can only imagine that is probably stigma about that too. So again, how do you normalize it, right?
Well, I love that, and you know, yeah, doing it as fast as possible is the best way, and then yeah, you can hit it at your level, and it's not a serious thing, right? Then it's like, okay, this is just like me supporting me, right, to get ahead. And you know, I can throw out a tool too for anyone listening, like if anyone who has a question about like if there's something that they should maybe go get help at, if they talk about the thing and they experience an emotional change, then you still have something there, right?
Yeah.
Like if you talk about something and you experience an emotional change, then there's something that's connected to that experience that's affecting you, right? And that's where you can start, right? With getting support and looking at it that way. It's a simple test that people can do by themselves, right? But yeah, thank you. Great share.
Yeah. Anyone else want to share this, or maybe we can just move to another question that basically, like we all have these kind of moments that sometimes we see that some like maybe the loved one is having, or maybe a friend having a kind of a tough time, but sometimes you just go there and just be there. You might not have the right word for them, but you might feel that just your presence might have brought some change in their lives. Have you ever felt that moment, and how was your experience? Maybe if anyone have that, if they want to share.
Yeah, I'll certainly share. I could talk about both ways, honestly, to make it more personal. When I've been in need and my friend has been there for me, right beside me, there's something about it, because sometimes you just need somebody just to listen to you, and it's very comforting. It's very I don't know. I feel like you begin to feel that you are not alone. That's the big thing. And that somebody there is for you, to support you, to care for you. And I relate that to the flip side of the coin, because when I'm there for a friend, I think about internally, how did that feel when I was going through maybe, a difficult moment in life, and how she helped me. So it really is. I think there's just something, I know it keeps coming back around, but just the power of presence in one's life, and how that could help through those difficult moments, because as we know, a lot of the times they're temporary. They're temporary, maybe there to learn a lesson from and to move forward. But that when you have a friend, and I also wanted to speak about too, is like, never feeling afraid to reach out for like professional help, if it is a therapist, any type of mental health professional themselves, because it doesn't demonstrate weakness. I think for my perception of it, especially going through sport, obviously I relate to sport because that was my whole life, but I realized, if in fact it would have been so nice just to have somebody through that time. And now when you do see professionals talking about it, like as far as athletes go, I think that allows for people to feel more comfortable to maybe reach out for help, whereas before they may have not. So I hope that answers your question, kind of like from my point of view, but then also the friend point of view.
No, I think that's amazing, and that's true that sometimes you just want to be there. I mean, there's it's I go back to these kind of it's not only the spiritual, even the science says there's a heart math institute, I mean this research center, and it says that when you are present, you kind of like you exude some kind of vibes, there's kind of waves and frequencies, and that is felt by the other person. And I think that's how we when we are just present, it's just that we communicate also through vibes and energy, and that really impacts. So
I just wanted to add a science piece to that, because many people have known that they call it the bonding hormone, oxytocin, in the brain and body, and it gets released between the mother and child, and it will get released during a sexual encounter as well, that's a loving one. And what people don't know, and this is very new research, and it's very it's new and it's so powerful. They now know through kindness. So just as Courtney described, kindness between two people, that will release oxytocin in both people's brains, which is one of the best ways to fight chronic disease. So people who are angry and people who are abusive and people who are alienating others, they're really hurting themselves at the same time. I really try and emphasize this in my work on aggression and bullying and abuse. That person thinks they're in a power position, and actually all they're really really doing is hurting their brain and body. They're making themselves weaker and more ill every single time they do it. So it's an important thing. We really laser focus on the victim, but the perpetrator is not doing themselves any favors. You want to be releasing oxytocin all the time and not the stress hormone cortisol, unless you need to run away from a predator. So, and then one other thing I would add, it's somebody jogged my thought process on this. It was a comment from one of the listeners, and they talked about nature. The research on nature is crazy. You go out the door to a park, you go to the woods, you go hiking, ocean, mountains, doesn't matter. Nature is a healer. It's so good for your system. It's incredible. And I write a regular piece for Psychology Today, a series. And so I've been writing about that for anybody who's interested in the research. It's powerful. And it doesn't mean you don't need someone else. You just need to get outside. In fact, even looking at pictures of nature will improve your health.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
Even there was a research that I was also going through, that even if you are having kind of a depression or a sadness, is just go out. And even if you can't go out, just open a window and take a fresh air. It brings change in the entire, your physiology, and that actually uplift your mood. Yes, definitely. Very powerful.
Yeah, I recently got I recently got into grounding too, which is kind of like what you're saying, Jennifer.
Oh,
like
yes,
that stuff too. And they even have the sheets on my bed now that are grounded, they're connected to the wall. Sorry, who did I cut off? Barbara?
No problem. But isn't there research on listening to birds singing?
Yes,
it's just amazing. I think it was a study with crazy number of participants, thousands, I think. And it turns out it does something when you hear, you can go outside and hear the birds without hearing them. But if you are really focusing on their singing, on hearing them, it's just absolutely amazing. And there's some other sounds. Some other people might like frogs. But I have both. But it's amazing to hear these sounds. It's so much different than clicking something on the phone, right? It's totally different vibration. But I also wanted to mention that it's what do you do, right? When someone goes through something and they are your friend, you don't maybe see very often. I myself don't often know what to do. So what I do is, again, something very simple. I'll just shoot a text, something thinking about you, and then maybe another time adding something. If you would like to talk, just let me know. Or if you would like to go out, just let me know. So I'm not telling them what to do, but sending these little gentle signals. I'm here for you. Just let me know what you need, what you would like to eat, or maybe you would like to do something, right? Some of them might have a need to maybe call you, or you call them, or just in the text messages, or maybe they just want to go out, right? And I don't know what that is. So I'm just sending these gentle signals. Just let me know what you would like to do, and I'm here for you, right? You don't need to write the whole letter to them.
I just want to share about the birds, Barbara. I went out this morning at 5 a.m. with the dogs, and the birds were singing there was 10 choirs outside going on. And so my mood was yes, it's really early, but these birds are so beautiful. It lifted my spirits. It definitely did.
You see, it works.
It was just this morning, they were the volume was turned right up with their voices.
Yeah.
It was I was in the jungle. I just want to share what you were saying with friends. Sometimes people don't want to ask for help, and when they're overwhelmed. And so for me, I pay a lot of attention to what overwhelms people that I know that may be experiencing depression or anxiety. And, if I know what helped for me was my brother made me meals. Every time court would come up, he know that my fight, flight, freeze response would show up, 2 weeks before court for 4 years. And he loved cooking. And so he'd always make me a meal for a couple of days and send them to me, and that really helped me through those times. You know, maybe someone gets overwhelmed with organizing their house or keeping their house clean or doing laundry or you know, going to the grocery store, just the little things that can go such a long way for people, is paying attention to what, you know, what that may look like on a daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly basis. Just, you know, it's that reminder that someone's thinking of you, and know that, you know, these things don't come easy, because with post-traumatic stress, as we know, the little things in life that may have been challenging for some of us become exasperated. And, you know, having a really clean environment, organized environment can really help our mental health. So, and making sure that people are being fed with the proper nutrition is also really important. So if someone feels overwhelmed with cooking, not wanting to go to the grocery store, I would, you know, make sure that they're getting meals so that their brain is going to function properly, and also the gratitude and kindness that they feel. I think the one other thing I wanted to say was make sure that you focus on the good within the person, because when we're in that state, sometimes we're focused on all the negative things, the burden that we may feel. And so just switching that to thinking about that's maybe what they may be feeling, is focus on the parts of them that are really positive. And, you know, how that even though they're in that dark state, that they're still teaching you things and they're still of value. And making sure that they're being seen as a value in the world. I think it's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that we can actually go on and on this topic, and I'm really loving the insights and the experiences that you're sharing. So, but I think we have limited time. So before we actually close this discussion, I would like to actually share that with the advice for this for the our listener, that whoever wants to be the light but doesn't know where to begin. So, what's one small, maybe the powerful action they can take today to be the light for someone?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I'll go first. But I think we should not overcomplicate it. And also another thing is to just, when you go somewhere, it could be a store. We all go to stores. We go to get our groceries, right? So, or other places. Notice someone there, even like at cash register. These people don't often get any kindness from customers really very early. Have a fun conversation. I don't know about the cabbage you buy, you know, whatever. But just or ask them, you know, like, oh, how you doing today? How was the day for you? And really, it doesn't have to be very complicated, but just and thank them for their work, for their service. Thank you so much. You're absolutely an awesome cashier in this entire store. Honestly, any compliment like that, it just makes a day for someone. I often compliment if there is a girl, lady at the cash register and they have nails. I can't just help myself. I immediately compliment them on their nails because I don't wear long nails. So it fascinates me. And these are just awesome nails. I absolutely love them. They are in heaven when they hear it. What else do you need, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This is true.
Oh yeah, I do the same thing with the ladies with big nails because I'm not wearing any nails. I'm like, wow, I'm like that's amazing. You know, like they put so much work into it, right? You know, and I'm like, I couldn't even type. Like I can't even work.
Yes. That's true. Even I don't wear those long nails, and it's really difficult.
But then, it's just fascinating how they work, right? But they say we can do anything with them. I'm like, this is amazing.
That's beautiful. Yeah, great examples. You know, thank people, especially thank those people, you know, that are serving you, right? You know, that are out there, you know, working every day to provide a better life for you. You know, those simple, dumb things that we don't think of, the people that take out the trash, the people that make, you know, put your grocery bags together, you know, the people that, do these little things that are peripherals, right, around our lives. So it's a great example.
Yeah.
Did anyone else have something they wanted to share?
I would say to people, because it's a mistake I made myself, where I was dealing with somebody who was suffering, a young person suffering with very, very extreme mental health, and I felt inadequate to help. I thought, I'm not a professional, so I shouldn't step in. I might do something wrong. I even actually, Heather, wrote to the police and said, is it correct the way I'm answering these emails? Because I don't know. I'm not a professional. And I learned that you didn't have to be a professional. You can shine your light on someone, especially someone who's suffering. Just, going back to repeat what everyone has said here, your presence alone, you don't need to be an expert. You don't need to have any fancy knowledge of helping them to be light for them. You can just care about them, listen to them, be present, and it can work wonders for someone who's really suffering.
Yeah, great share, Jennifer. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, we don't want to be afraid to be that help, right? There is no, qualification to deliver love and compassion, for people.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, it's just part of being human. So, yeah. Courtney, did you have something to say?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of echoing off of what Barbara was saying, but lately I've been really focusing and being more cognizant in my own life about like the power of a conversation and how we get so wrapped up today. We're so busy. Notifications are going off left and right. I think we all could relate, right? But going like simple tasks like going to the grocery store, I call it like my ask one more question. So I'm that person, literally what she was saying, like when you go to Publix and you ask me how my day is, like I tell you how my day is, but I spark that conversation. And it's not just, swiping your card, did you find everything today and moving forward, but asking them how their day is. And I have noticed even in the grocery store, people would share, I don't want to, it wasn't like extremely personal stuff, but it's like stuff that you would never just figure out just within like, how was your day? Like, okay, keep moving forward. And so I say that because I do, it was one particular situation I'm thinking about, but there are people that are struggling. And I think simply by a conversation, sparking up just one more question could really help them get through that day. And that was something that, I don't know, it happened to me like in particular about 3 or 4 months ago. And I just thought to myself, like, just like Barbara was saying, if it's a simple compliment, when I go running in the morning in our neighborhood, I meet eye contact, I wave. And it's the simplistic things like that I really do. I think if somebody did that to me, I mean, I love like when people, just like a wave when you're running by, it makes your day. So it's the small things ultimately.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, great. Heather, you want to say something?
So thank you. Amazing conversation, everyone. I think it's been really powerful. And I love what you said too, Courtney. I was with my dog this morning and I'm on my bike ride and the neighbor waved as he goes by. And, it's so nice. It's so heartwarming to just be able to be seen and see that they're happy to see you. Like someone talked about that feeling, I think, Ambreen, that energy that we feel. I just want to say that, in my experiences, especially in law enforcement and then beyond with those that are transitioning from service, a lot of the times the emotions that weren't able to be shown come up after service. And it shows up in extreme levels sometimes. There's a spectrum of mental health, I would like to say. And, despite me showing up, that people would see me that I've never met before, they may think that I was okay. I may look okay, I may present okay, but to where I wasn't okay. And so I think that for every person, we don't know what their level of okay is. And so coming out of law enforcement, those that are, or military, they may, like I said, experience very strong emotions. And people may get, a little taken back by those very strong emotions, whether they're voicing it verbally in advocacy, in anger, whatever it may be. But I think the most important thing that I've learned through supporting those that are in those transitions is focus on what they're really saying and not on the heightened scarcity that may be presented. Because under all of that, there is someone who needs love and kindness and is feeling so hurt. And let's not focus on something that, they may be presenting as not appropriate, behavior or etiquette or whatever it may be, and just really see the human inside that's hurting and focus on how we can bring them out of that emotion and just really listen to them. I just think it's really important that we see beyond the surface level of that. If I explained that right or not, I hope so. I just know that, and that's for anyone in society, in the community that is presenting symptoms that, are, all over the media that present as, not appropriate behavior, whatever it may be, from policing to outside of policing. We really need to focus on the good in people and what it is that they're experiencing, so they can feel safe in the world and know that they can trust you, even though they may not be presenting in a calm manner to be able to express themselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that. So beautifully said, because people are not the challenge that they face.
Mhm.
They're different, and so, that was a great comment. One last little thing I'll throw in, and then, I'll let you take it over, Ambreen, but is to fill our own tank. Let's fill our own tank too, right? And so, to do that, how do we do that today? So, everyone out there, there's a fun, cool thing that I learned from one of my mentors, a guy named Jeff Hoffman. He's been a really successful business owner, did a bunch of companies, and a massive humanitarian too, and was involved in some big companies like Priceline and Booking.com and Ubid, and now runs all these cool global things with entrepreneurs to help people. But he said, text the 10 people around you in your circle and just ask them today, say, what is my superpower? What is my superpower? Just text 10 people today. It's a fun exercise, and it's really great to find out too, because it's actually a great reflective exercise. But every single person has a superpower. I've realized that in my life. No matter what you're going through, no matter how you feel, everyone is special and everyone has a special place. So if people don't feel special in their place, there is a place for you. But fill up your cup, see what people say your superpower is. Just have fun, text 10 people, and you'll be surprised. What I found is you get a lot of the same responses from, if you take it on a poll over 10 people, and what people say about you. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's really cool, and that's really amazing. And that's how we get to know the superpower is. This is a really fun and cool exercise. And it's the last thing that I would like to say also is that, as Heather also said, that we don't know that what's happening in someone's life. They might have what challenges they might be feeling or might they're facing in their lives. Sometimes what happens is that usually those who look different, or maybe who different, they are usually sidelined. So I would just say that even if you are in a group or something where you feel someone who is a bit sidelined or who feel awkward, try to be the first one to go and greet them and to open a conversation, because they usually they could be the smartest one. You don't even know that what they've been going through. So I think show love to everyone, be kind to everyone, because at the end of the day, everyone has some problems, some challenges in their lives. It's just that when we share our love with them, it brighten up, it lift up their day as well. So anyways, thank you so much everyone for joining, for having such a wonderful conversation. I really, really enjoyed every bit of it. Wonderful insights, wonderful this conversation. Thanks to everyone for joining. I know that I've shared all your links in the comment section. So those who are actually listening to us or watching a replay or watching a live, each one of us have this like their LinkedIn profile, and they connect in the comment section. So please check out their profile. They're doing all of amazing work. And thanks to everyone who joined from the audience for listening to us, for sharing these comments, making this conversation very lively. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being the light.
Thank you. Okay. And don't be afraid to share your light, because your presence is your light. And okay. Bye-bye.